You getting into influencer? Do you do dedicated storytelling, or are you looking for a direct response integration? That's what we're talking about today. Come join us.
Hello from Detroit. I am Brad.
I am Joel.
And together we are the Influencer Marketing Show.
So named for SEO purposes.
Yes, we hope you enjoy the creative name of the Influencer Marketing Show. So with that, we should start talking.
We should start talking. All right, question on the table today is, you're a brand, you're doing an influencer campaign. You have your first choice is, do I look to do dedicated videos? Dedicated video, what's the definition of a dedicated video, Brad?
Well, dedicated video is when you work together with a creator and that creator works in partnership with the brand to figure out what their entire video is going to be out. So it's really a partnership between the creator and the brand to agree on the storyline of the video.
Okay.
It's a lot of words.
Do we do a dedicated video, or do you do an integration, more of a shout out, more of, somewhere in the 30 to 60 second range, might not have anything to do with the content?
Well, that begs the question, Joel.
Yes.
What is an integrated video?
So what's an integration? Yeah, not an integrated video. Not yeah. Okay, so this is not pre-roll. This is not something that the platform is serving up an ad from their ad platform. This is still the creator endorsing your product or service. They're still doing it. It's baked into the content, but it is relatively short, and it thematically might not have anything to do with the content. For instance, I am starting my Apiarist channel soon here, where I explore my adventures in beekeeping, and I might say be sponsored by Policy Genius Insurance. Now, home, car, life insurance obviously don't have anything to do thematically with apiarism.
But beekeeping, I mean, you got to be healthy.
You have to
enjoy honey. So I see a connection.
Right. Okay. Why would you do a dedicated video? Let's start there. Brands coming in. Why should they do? When is the right time to do a dedicated video? Because there is a wrong time. But let's start with the right one.
Yeah, I think if you're a brand and you're looking to do a dedicated video, you want to do so when there is a lot of concern over some aspect of your business model. And so here's what I mean by that. So there might be a perceived vulnerability where if you as a brand are trying to overcome this and say, hey, no, we're actually going to take good care of your genetic sample when you submit it to us. Or, oh, hey, we're actually going to charge you the same price for grocery delivery as you would pay at the store. That's something that if the brand says, it's just kind of noise. But if a creator would be able to say, and you could show the entire process of how that could happen, that could work really well. So if there's a particular vulnerability that you know is out there as a brand and you want to be able to overcome that, then rolling out a dedicated video can actually help to inform consumers about the truth about your product.
Okay. So give me an example. I'm a coffee roasting brand, and I have been publicly accused nefariously on Twitter of putting locusts in my coffee brand. And I need to correct for this. It is a, shall we say, perceived vulnerability.
I agree with that.
What would I do as the brand?
Well, what I would do is look at a coffee aficionado who has a ton of trust in the space, and they could start to analyze maybe a few different coffee roasters, components of their coffee, but really focus on yours and show the chemical results, show them collecting the coffee, show everything that's happened, show the results of the chemical analysis to their audience, and just making it well known that indeed there is no said chemicals.
So you've heard it here first from your coffee aficionado. Out Loud is officially locust-free coffee. All right. Any other reason? You got perceived vulnerabilities. Why else would you do a dedicated video?
Well, I think a dedicated video is really good at helping people to understand your brand and connect to it. So an integration is great, but it's 30 to 60 seconds. You can have some storytelling, certainly in 30 to 60 seconds, but you're really going to get more of a long form connection to really understand the nuance the nuanced pieces of your brand. So we sort of referenced 23andMe before, but if you want to work with a creator around your ancestry or genetic material, to be able to go through all of your tests and talk about where in the world you're from and the great things that you learned from that, a dedicated video can be great. So if there's nuance to your product and there's a lot of storytelling involved, that can certainly be a great use case for a dedicated video.
Okay, fantastic. When would a brand not want to do a dedicated video?
Well, I think there's one of the things you need to be aware of with dedicated videos is they tend to be a little bit different from the other content that is on the creator's channel. So if I'm typically sharing content about beekeeping, for instance, and there's suddenly a dedicated video around coffee, you're not going to get as large of a viewing from an audience perspective because the content looks and feels different than what they're used to seeing from that particular creator. So if you're a brand and you're going to be judging success based upon the number of views of a particular piece of content, a dedicated video is not for you, because we've seen repeatedly that dedicated videos actually get fewer average views than most pieces of content on that creator's channel.
An example of that, there's a very, very well-known tech channel that was approached by a lesser-known software program. It was kind of workflow, CRM type scheduling, software. Good company, great tech show. And this tech show, which normally does tech reviews, basically did a kind of day in the life of here are things down at the old tech hacienda, and this is how we roll, and here's how I schedule my day. And oh, look, I'm scheduling it with my brand new scheduling software and CRM. And the comments in this particular video, this guy just got absolutely skewered. He was like, the comments are like, I just watched a 15-minute infomercial for xbrand.com. And it was not what the brand wanted, not what the creator wanted. Look, someone's not chiming into the content for an infomercial. So I would say the best piece of advice, if you're in love with your brand story, but it's because it's your brand story and it's not anybody else's story that they're really excited about, if the content doesn't lend itself to a really good dedicated video, don't do it. There was a company that was in the space for a while that made a certain men's accoutrement that one might groom with, let's say. They were really, really excited that they had bought a factory in an old world European country, and that's where they love that, and it's like, I get that that's important to you, and that's great.
Data is in. 43.5% of our viewers just Googled what accoutrement was, and now no. So I just want to interject that. Okay, now back to regularly scheduled programming.
Anyways, the point is, you have to be a little bit humble when deciding whether is someone actually going to care about this story. Is it a good story on its own right? Or is it something that you, the brand, care about because your marketing team was desperately looking for some kind of brand differentiation and came up with, this is our story. This is why we're different than the other 15 commoditized products in this space. So there are very, very good reasons not to do a dedicated. Most of the time, we're going to recommend you stick with integrations. It tells a story. You're building brand awareness. You are getting 90% of the value of the creator, the influencer's credibility with it. Stick with that. Anything else that we want to talk about just to tie this up?
One thing I would say is, if you are insistent as a brand that you need to have a video that's going to go out that's just about you, that's fine. Just create it yourself, put it out on your channel, and put paid behind it, and you're gonna get views on it. It's basically a commercial at that point. But if you're partnering with a creator, the creator owns and dictates the creative, and you can have input into it, but the creator and their approach has to be the hero of that. So I think that's just the one last piece I wanted to chime in, but I think it's probably worthwhile sharing some data and some numbers.
All right, let's wrap it up with data.
If you're watching this deep into it, you're into the data, and you deserve to know what this is. So the real question is, what's the cost of a dedicated video versus an integration? So Joel, what should people expect from a relative perspective?
Our rule of thumb is you look at the average views of video, you back out kind of their flat rate, back out a CPM. you're typically going to see a dedicated video is going to be anywhere from 3 to 5x what you would pay for an integration for that shout out. It's going to totally depend by creator. Some of them are going to ask more than others, but you should, like 3x is the minimum that you're going to expect to pay.
Yep. Every creator is different, obvious caveats there, but that's definitely something that you should keep in mind. But there is some good news with that. So you're going to pay more for a piece of content. However, because the entire video is about your product more or less, when you're having a dedicated video, you will see that the click-through rate is much higher. So smaller audience, but the audience cares more about your product and is much more likely to click through. And that tends to be around 2.5 times stronger for a dedicated video than an integration. So yes, you're going to be paying more, but you're also going to be getting much higher click-through rate. So ultimately, it depends on what your objectives are from a brand perspective in terms of what makes sense, when you're looking at a spreadsheet. But we covered a lot of reasons outside of the spreadsheet why you should use a dedicated video and why you shouldn't use a dedicated video. So anything else you want to cover here with respect to dedicated and integrations?
Yeah, just one last piece of advice. Remember, at the end of the day, this is the creator's channel. Their audience is there to see them. And if you are going to craft a dedicated video, just make sure that the content stands alone on its own right, is good, is worthwhile, is something that's going to enhance the creator's channel. You'll come out looking better. But like if the audience feels like it's getting dragged along, again, to use the term in an infomercial, don't save your money. There are better places to spend it. All right. So, all right. I think that's it for us. What do we say?
We are the influencer marketing show for
SEO purposes. Thanks for hanging out. Follow us on all of our social. Our social might be the Out Loud Group, not the Influencer Marketing Show. That's quite possible.
The Influencer Marketing Show for social.
Thanks for hanging out.